Holler at the Historic Grandin Theatre is a live storytelling series that's the brainchild of Roanoker Lee Hunsaker. The theme for this episode is the body. Tellers share tales of lost limbs, negative attitudes about our own bodies, and how to overcome medical and psychological adversity. Blue Ridge PBS Echo is pleased to share these moving stories. Please note that the opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Blue Ridge PBS or the Echo Channel, and be advised that some of the stories contain graphic language and stories about mental and physical abuse, so viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, storyteller number one. It's very brave to go first. I mean, it's brave to go ever, but it's really brave to go first, okay? Okay. All right. She is thrilled to be joining us for a second evening of storytelling and meaningful connection. As a family physician practicing in Roanoke for over 20 years, she has come to deeply appreciate the art of storytelling through her work with patients. Her favorite part of the job is the unexpected stories shared in the exam room. Holding space for people to find language to express their truths has incredible healing power, and that is the truth. Desiring more time for this sacred work, she recently opened her own concierge practice, Ultra Primary Care, at the Center for Ultra Health, right in Old Southwest. There, she incorporates life coaching. When she isn't with patients or crafting her own tales, you'll likely find her on a soul-nourishing hike, paddle-boarding the river, or mountain biking with the wind in her hair. Please welcome, second-timer, but first tonight, Christy Arthur.
Yay! Thank you all. It's so exciting to be here. Yay! Yay! So I wanted to start off talking a little bit about bad tattoos. Kind of common, right? I can relate. I kind of have a tattoo, but I didn't get to choose it. I got it for free. And I got it way underage, and I didn't consent either. And I was born with a birthmark right here in the middle of my neck. Yeah, there you can see it. And, to be fair, this birthmark is pretty small and easily covered, and maybe even a little bit cute, kind of looks like a V or an L. But nonetheless, this birthmark has led to the story of my life, which is, what's that on your neck? But the answer to that story is a little bit more complicated. So one way to answer that question is through the medical lens, which is to say this is a port wine stain, or a nevus flammeus, which is a congenital low-flow vascular malformation of the capillaries and post-capillary venules of the dermal layer. Did that answer it for you? So that's a lot of medical lingo that basically means that the smallest blood vessels are larger than they should be, so they hold more blood and they look darker. Now, if this mark had been over my eyelids, the doctors might have considered a diagnosis of Sturge-Weber, which is a congenital disorder associated with strokes and seizures. And if the mark had been over my lower back, they might have considered spinal bifida occulta, which is just a failure of the vertebral bodies to close completely. And I just bring all of that up to say that doctors look at things like birthmarks as clues to something worse or something that needs to be fixed. But this misshapen capillary definition, while it might be 100% scientifically accurate, doesn't even begin to answer the question of what's that on your neck. To do that, we need to go back in time to when I was 3 or 4, and I was going to Little Angels preschool at a local church. And I only remember a couple of things about this preschool. The first is that we were basically little devils, and we ran around the sanctuary, we hid under the pews, and we basically forced our teacher into a game of hide and seek every day. And The second is a classmate looking at my neck and saying, "What's that on your neck?" And I looked around and in fact realized that not everybody has a red mark on their neck. And I got home and asked my mom, I said, "Mom, why do I have this birthmark?" And she said, "Oh, that? Well, Christy, before you were even born, when you were up in heaven, you were just crying and making such a fuss. The angels picked you up and they rocked you in their arms and they gave you a kiss on the neck, and it left that birthmark after you were born." I was like, whoa. I've been kissed by the angels. Oh my goodness. I thought a lot of that. Went and told all my classmates the angel kiss story. And it was my first foray into the power of story and how it can change your whole outlook. And, I'm so grateful that my mom chose such a story of care. She could have easily been, ashamed or made me wear turtlenecks all the time. But instead, she gave me a story of acceptance and love, and it really helped me to cherish and appreciate this thing that makes me so different. Until I got to upper elementary school, and the question, "What's that on your neck?" morphed into, "Do you have a hickey?" So I didn't know what a hickey was. And of course I said, "What? No, this is where the angels kissed me." Yeah, by that time in my life, that was like admitting I still believed in Santa. So I went home and asked my mom another question. "Mom, what's a hickey? And did you lie to me about the angels?" So this birthmark led to my first sex ed discussion, followed by something even more horrifying, an admission from my mom that she had, in fact, made up the angel story. I know, I felt not so special. But she, in her defense, she said, "Well, Christy, we can't be sure. I mean, maybe you were kissed by the angels. We can't verify it." At that point in time, this birthmark seemed more like an L for the big lie. I made it through high school. I did learn what a real hickey was. And by that point in time, nobody was really asking questions. I still saw people looking. Maybe they were assuming it was a real hickey and I was a slut, but I was having way too much fun to really care. When I got to UVA, I told everybody that it was a V for Virginia. Woo! I know, we're in tech country, but it became, at that point in time, the ultimate symbol of belonging. And honestly, I didn't really think too much about it until I was in medical school and I did my plastic surgery rotation. And remember how I started off this story with the medical explanation that slides into the, "Well, what else is wrong with you?" angle? Well, not one, not two, but 3 different plastic surgery residents told me, "We can get rid of that thing for you." Honestly, they were really just looking for any excuse to use their brand new toy, which was this high-powered laser that could basically get rid of any blemish with just one zap. Well, I don't think I need to tell you, but I, of course, turned them down cold. Laser or not, those guys were really missing the point. So now that I'm nearing 50 and my hair is graying and I'm getting some wrinkles and my middle's bulging, I've really come to appreciate this birthmark that hasn't changed my entire life. So last year I did something scary and I started my own practice, and at times it's felt really dizzying with all the change. And this birthmark has been an anchor back to myself. It's like the spot on the wall that dancers use when they're spinning so fast so that they don't fall. So these days, this birthmark is a soft heart. It's a reminder to be gentle to myself and to be kind in the midst of all that is changing. So, to answer that question, what's that on your neck? Well, it's a bunch of misshapen capillaries, it's an angel's kiss, a hickey, a symbol of belonging, a heart, and a divine, but still non-consensual, tattoo of acceptance.